Hi students, I hope you're having a great day. This week our unit in Burlington English is on health. And today you will be listening to some information about the dangers of smoking. I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit today about smoking in U.S. culture and tobacco, and also in our state of North Carolina, because tobacco and producing cigarettes has actually been a very important part of our state's history and agriculture and economy. Smoking used to be very popular in the United States. And when I say used to, it means a change, something that was true in the past but not anymore. So in the past, smoking was very popular for adults and also for many teenagers. And the state of North Carolina was and still is the largest producer of tobacco in the United States. People first began growing tobacco in North Carolina in the 1660s, so almost 400 years ago. People were growing tobacco here as a crop to sell for money. And tobacco is a crop that grows very well in the soil and climate of North Carolina, both in the eastern part of the state and also in the Piedmont, which is the central zone of our state. And tobacco was a very profitable crop. The word profitable means it brings a lot of profit. People could make a lot of money selling this crop. And it still is one of North Carolina's largest cash crops. It brings in some of the most money for farmers. So this was a big part of the culture and economy of our state, and actually the two largest tobacco companies in America were located in North Carolina. The American Tobacco Company, which was located in Durham, North Carolina, and the Reynolds Tobacco Company, which was here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We also have the town of Tobaccoville, which is right north of our city. And Reynolds Tobacco Company was the city's largest employer in the early 1900s. Two of their cigarette brands were named after our city: Winston Cigarettes and Salem Cigarettes. And many things that we have in our city now are because of the money that the Reynolds family donated or gave to people and organizations in the city. The Reynolds family was the richest or wealthiest family in the state of North Carolina. And they gave many things, such as Reynolds High School was built by the family. Renolda House, which is now a museum of American art, was donated to the city, and it is part of Wake Forest University. And the Reynolds family paid money, as I mentioned before, for Wake Forest University to move here to Winston-Salem. We have Renolda Road, which is named after the family. And also Tanglewood Park was donated by this family. So many of the things we have in our city are because of this crop of tobacco that brought in a lot of money. Now, before the 1960s, most people did not know that smoking cigarettes or chewing tobacco was bad for your health. They had no idea that this was a dangerous activity. But in January of 1964, the American government released a report that said cigarette smoking was definitely linked to lung cancer and heart disease. And the popularity of smoking began to decrease. It began to go down, and not as many Americans smoked cigarettes. There were stricter laws put in place about advertising and laws about selling tobacco to teenagers. There were also new laws made about where a person could smoke. And these different laws occurred after the 1960s and the 1970s and 1980s. In the past, a person could smoke anywhere. They could smoke in restaurants, in airplanes, in office buildings, on school campuses, in stores. But now there are many strict rules about where people can smoke. When I was a student in high school in the 1980s, teenagers could buy and smoke cigarettes if they were 16 years old. So at my high school, it was possible for students to smoke cigarettes at school, before school or during the lunch hour or after school. They had to go to a special place on the campus, a smoking area, but this was allowed. And that's the question for today about the video. Was it possible for students at my high school to smoke? Yes, it was. Now it seems crazy that we would let teenagers smoke at school because there are many rules against smoking. And now people cannot smoke at all at the public schools. It is against the law or against the rule for anyone, students or adults, to even have any tobacco on the campus. So the ideas about smoking have changed a lot in the last 30 and 40 years. So smoking cigarettes and chewing tobacco have become less popular in the United States, but using electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes, or vaping has become more popular, especially with teenagers over the last few years. And many people are concerned about this because these smoking activities are still bad for your health. On September 1st, 2019, the U.S. government made a new law that it is illegal for anyone under 21 years old to buy or use tobacco products of any kind. Cigarettes, chewing tobacco, or electronic cigarettes, vaping, all of that is against the law. And there's one exception though. There's one group of people that does not have to follow this law, and that is people who work for the military. Soldiers in the military are still allowed to use tobacco even if they are under the age of 21. Now, because of these changes in attitudes towards smoking, many farmers in North Carolina do not grow tobacco anymore. They have changed to other crops, and two of the most popular new crops for farmers are vineyards, growing grapes to make wine at a vineyard, and also sweet potatoes. North Carolina grows the most sweet potatoes in the United States. Just like for tobacco, our soil and climate are very good for these crops. So I thought that might be some interesting history about how our culture and our city has been shaped by tobacco and the profits from tobacco. And also today in Burlington English, you will be studying past tense verbs, regular verbs, and irregular verbs. And this is something very important to study and to learn the irregular verbs. Burlington English has a list of 73 irregular verbs. And it's very important for you to practice these and learn these before the end of our term on June 18th. And you probably know many of these already, but if there are some of these verbs on the list, it would be great for you to practice them and learn them. And one idea to do that is to make a flashcard. And a flashcard is a small card like this, and you could write the verb, the base verb on one side, and on the back side you can write the irregular past tense of this. And we call these flashcards because the word flash can mean very quick, and it's the idea of you study the card and look at both sides very quickly and test yourself to learn new material. So good luck with learning these past tense irregular verbs that you don't know already, and thinking and learning some information in English about health. Have a great day. Bye-bye.